The Mortal Kombat series has a lot of characters, some great and others not so great, but most of them are interesting to an extent, as in they have something good going for them. But today's video will highlight the absolute worst characters in Mortal Kombat. I saw a recent video from JM Crofts about Street Fighter characters who should never return, and I thought to myself, let's do that for Mortal Kombat. Which characters in this series should never return? Because the character select screen only has so much room, and I don't want these characters taking up a slot. Now with that said, please don't take this video personally. You can still love these characters, and in fact, I want you to tell me why you like them in the comments below, because I know one character on this list is gonna upset a good chunk of viewers. But for me personally, these characters just feel redundant, or boring, or just have no real depth. So I don't want them taking away slots from characters we love. With all that out of the way, let's begin. First up is Jarek. I know some people watching actually do like Jarek, but the man is literally a plot device, and I do mean literally. Jarek was created as the final Black Dragon member, and then he's killed in the debut game.
The Black Dragon died with Kano. You're the last one, Jarek.
In other words, the developers created him solely to showcase the Black Dragon's downfall. He was invented to die. That was his purpose. And as a result, there's not much depth to his character at all.
You can't drop me. You have to uphold the law. You have to arrest me. Wait, this is brutality. You can't do it. Wrong, Jarek. This is not a brutality. This is a fatality.
And when it comes to gameplay, the guy is literally Kano, and once again, I'm being literal when I say literally. There's no hyperbole here, the man is literally Kano, which means Jarek's gameplay and personality are both redundant, and that's rare to find in a fighting game for a character to have this little creativity. But hey, that's Jarek. The man has no creativity to him whatsoever. So instead of bringing him back for later games, just create a new Black Dragon member with unique attacks and a cool backstory. That would fulfill the same role as Jarek, but the new character would actually be more creative and not a literal Kano clone. Next up, we have Mokap. This character was created as a joke in Deadly Alliance, and ever since, he's been somewhat of a meme. He even shows up in the recent animated movie Cage Match. Well, kind of. It was a fun reference, but this character should never take up a slot in the character select screen. Instead, make him a premier skin, like in the Injustice games. I think that would be fine. Since Mokap has basically no personality or motivation in the series, he doesn't need to come back. And I'm sure most people watching would agree on that, but hey, it's the topic of the video, right? We're discussing characters that should never return, and Mokap definitely fits that bill. But next up, we have Kira, who looked really cool in the Snowblind movie, but let's be honest, this is a completely different character. They might call her Kira in the movie, but these two designs are not the same. It's just not the same character. In this video, I'm talking about the playable Kira from Deception and Armageddon. Her design isn't that bad, honestly, and Mortal Kombat didn't have any redhead ladies yet, so she does stand out a bit, but her gameplay is lazy just like Jarek. Since Kano and Sonya were missing in Deception, Kira has their moves, and that's literally her entire point of existing, and I wish I was joking, but that's the truth. The developers made Kira to give Sonya and Kano fans somebody to play with those moves. When it comes to her story, there's not much depth there either. She works alongside Cobra and serves under Cabal with a new Black Dragon group. However, none of them do anything important in these games, and in fact, one of them always dies in the arcade endings. It's either Cobra or Kira, and usually they're killing each other, but my point is they always die in their games.
As Cobra regained consciousness, he reveled in the surge of godlike power and prevented Kira from severing their bond. Cobra devoured her life force and stole the prize, becoming immortal.
That's how little the developers care, and also why Kira has no backstory or depth whatsoever. She was created just for her moveset and then told to die, which is why I don't think Kira should ever return. Instead, just make a new Black Dragon lady and give her some cool moves, and maybe keep the red hair too, since it's unique. We have Scarlet, who's also an amazing redhead, but if she's not on the roster, then yeah, put a new redheaded lady there. Next up, we have Dairu. I really want to like this character because his attacks are actually interesting, but his character design design and backstory are pretty bland, which is why he's on this list. I think it would be best to just give his attacks to a new character. And honestly, it's crazy for me to say that, since I'm the guy who's almost always against replacing characters, especially with the same moveset as an existing character. For example, I hated when Guile got replaced by Remy. They have the same attacks. And in Soul Calibur 5, a bunch of fan favorite characters got replaced. The same attacks were there, but given to new characters, and I hated that too. So for me to say that Dairu should be replaced is kinda crazy, but hey, it's how I feel. Because I just can't see fans getting excited to play as Bald Ponytail Man. His design is just not very good, and neither is his backstory. So yeah, make a new character, but give him Dairu's attacks. Alright, there's one more character on this list, but before that, let's quickly cover some honorable mentions. These characters are also pretty lame, but I think they have potential. First up is Suhao. That's right, I'm defending Suhao, but hear me out. The guy actually has creative weapons. Look at these things, they're very unique. And he's also got unique attacks like the Hulk Clap and the Bouncing Light Beam. This character does have some potential. And some people might call him a Kano clone because he has the chest thing. But no, Kano stole that from him, believe it or not. Until Suhao's appearance in Deadly Alliance, Kano never had a cybernetic augment on his chest. That design element was taken from Suhao and given to Kano in later games because developers noticed that fans liked that part of Suhao's design but hated Suhao. Actually, I think the developers hated Suhao because I've never seen an army of players hate Suhao. It's always been the developers, I think. If anything, Suhao is kind of a meme now with a growing fan base, so yeah, I think he could return. Next up is Cobra, which might sound crazy because I just got done roasting Kira, but Cobra actually has some potential. Because for starters, his moves are original. Yeah, he uses fire and a bunch of characters already do that, but still, his moves are actually his. So that's already a good start, but also Cobra's personality fits perfectly in Mortal Kombat. The man just wants an excuse to hurt people, and I'm not joking, that's his full motivation. He's a bloodthirsty karate man who can use fire. I think that's a good fit for Mortal Kombat, honestly. And if given a good script and the right voice actor, I think Cobra could become an interesting character and be fully redeemed. Because having an evil martial artist on the roster who just wants to hurt people would fit perfectly in Mortal Kombat. Then finally, we have Movado. This man's rope cable things are really interesting and would make for amazing gameplay. I'm just gonna say it. That's the main reason I think Movado could return. I hate that he stole Cabal's weapons, that made him super lame, but even so, his design is cool and his weapons are even cooler and way more unique. Can you imagine Movado swinging around the screen like Spider-Man in the next Mortal Kombat game? I think that gameplay would be super cool and fun, which is honestly the only reason I want him to return. I think that gameplay could be really stunning. But alright, now it's time for my hot take. Many of you watching are not gonna like that I picked this character to never return, but in my honest opinion, Chameleon has no reason to come back. Now hear me out, this character's entire gimmick is using other characters' attacks, which makes his gameplay redundant in the most literal sense possible. He should definitely not take up a slot on the roster when his attacks are literally every other character's attacks. But then on top of that, Chameleon has no story, and I'm not even joking. His ending in Armageddon is just telling the world that he exists. Yeah, that's all that happens because there's no backstory or narrative around this character. He's just a gimmick.
Though he had been ever present throughout the crises of the realms, from Liu Kang's first victory to the return of the Dragon King, he had remained hidden from sight, waiting for his moment to come. That moment had arrived. From this day forth, the realms will know Chameleon as the true champion of Mortal Kombat.
For comparison, even Chameleon with a K has a full bio and a backstory in the Mortal Kombat series. It's not a ton of information, but it's way more than Chameleon with a C has because he literally has no information whatsoever. In other words, if Chameleon was added to a future Mortal Kombat game, he would bring nothing new to the gameplay and literally have no story to tell either. Which means the only way to bring Chameleon back would be to completely change everything about him. His gameplay would need to be overhauled and he would need an actual backstory too. And after doing all of that, you basically have a brand new character at that point. So the developers should just make a new character instead of using Chameleon. Listen, I understand his outfit is really cool. It's always changing colors, it's a rainbow ninja outfit, that's really interesting, I get it. But is that really a good enough reason to bring him back in a future game? Because if so, then why not just make him a premiere skin for Reptile or something like that? For me personally, honestly, I would much rather have a brand new Saurian character than for Chameleon to return. And I sadly mean both Chameleons. This Chameleon in particular has no reason to come back, but even this Chameleon doesn't have anything going for her. So there you have it, everyone. Every character in the Mortal Kombat series who I think has no reason to return. But if I'm wrong, please let me know why in the comment section down below, and please keep it civil, because like mentioned earlier, this video is nothing personal and it's just my opinion. If you think these characters are great and should come back, then please tell me why in the comments. If anything, I think it's cool how hard it was to find characters that shouldn't come back in this series, because that means almost every Mortal Kombat character ever created has something interesting about them to an extent, whether it's their gameplay or their backstory, their personality, their attacks. Almost every playable Mortal Kombat character in history has some reason to come back, and I find that really interesting. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it helps the channel out a ton, and then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.